The story starts with an accident. One day Cain has just left work and he encounters a robbery on his way home. The robbers try to hurt the two girls and Cain immediately fights the robbers in order to protect the girls. However, Cain is killed in the fight. When Cain wakes up again, he has reincarnated as a noble boy. Seeing Cain wake up, his maid is very happy. Just then Cain realizes that he has been reincarnated in another world. He lives in a luxurious room and the maid carefully takes care of him, which can prove that he is definitely not an ordinary person. In this world, Cain was born into a noble family. His father is a count and has two wives. The first wife gave birth to two boys and the second gave birth to a girl as well as Cain. That is to say, Cain has two older brothers and one older sister. There is magic and all kinds of strange creatures in this world, which makes Cain very curious. Therefore, he is very studious. Since Cain's soul is a teenager, he is much better at learning than ordinary children. Soon Cain is able to cast some simple spells. Cain's sister likes Cain so much that she often teaches him some knowledge herself. Cain then learns that this kingdom was founded 300 years ago by an adventurer who also seemed to be an earthling. With the help of his sister, Cain quickly masters the basics of the world. One day Cain needs to go to church for baptism, which is the custom of this world. After being baptized, people are able to cast magic and use other skills. People of this kingdom believe in 7 gods who will bless the baptized believers and give them certain talents. Generally, a person will only be blessed by 1 or 2 gods. But when Cain is baptized, he sees all 7 gods. The gods tell Cain that his death was an accident, so the gods on earth ask them to take care of him. Therefore all 7 gods bless Cain, who then acquires talents in magic, combat, business, life skills and so on. When Cain returns to the church from the world of gods, he immediately checks his state, only to be surprised to find that all of his attributes are twice the maximum. If it is discovered by someone, Cain may be in trouble, so he decides to hide his true attributes. But even so, Cain's family is frightened when they check Cain's attributes, because Cain forgets to hide his mana, and his mana turns out to be dozens of times that of the strongest magician. Cain's father decides to hide Cain's attributes because he has the potential to cause panic in other countries. After Cain is baptized, he is able to cast high-level summoning magic. He wants a magic pet, so he casts a summoning spell based on the contents of a summoning magic book. However, Cain unexpectedly summons a monster which tries to attack Cain's sister and another little girl. To protect them, Cain fights the monster. This scene is similar to the scene before Cain's death. But luckily this time Cain manages to defeat the monster and protect the 2 girls. Both girls are very touched and they are grateful to Cain for protecting them. Cain is also very happy. He knows that in this world he has great power to protect others. Since then, Cain has had a dream to travel to every corner of the world and help as many people as possible. To make Cain better learn magic and swordsmanship, Cain's parents find 2 adventurers to be Cain's teachers. Cain is curious about the 2 teachers, so when he hears the teachers arrive, he runs out excitedly. Just then Cain discovers that his teachers are 2 beautiful girls. Since Cain is from a noble family, the 2 teachers have great respect for him. One of them is a magician and the other is a swordswoman. Later, when they are teaching, the 2 teachers are surprised to find that Cain is much stronger than a child, even stronger than the average adventurer. He can easily defeat his swordsmanship teacher in battle, and his magic is much more powerful than that of his magic teacher. He also has a magic box which is only as big as a palm, but inside it is a magical space as large as a castle. 2 teachers realize that Cain is much stronger than them and they don't have any skills to teach Cain. At this time, Cain suggests that they take him out on an adventure. Usually Cain can only stay at home and can only go out when practicing magic, so the 2 teachers ask for Cain's father's permission to take Cain out. After Cain's father learns that Cain may ruin the house if he practices magic at home, he agrees. After Cain comes to the wild, he can finally cast magic with his full strength. He directly destroys a large stone with a medium-level fire magic, which is even more powerful than high-level magic. Both teachers are surprised and they are finally convinced that Cain is a super genius. At this time, they suddenly hear the sound of a monster coming from the grass nearby. Cain immediately attacks the monster and kills it. After that, he puts the materials dropped by the monster into his magic box. The teachers are very envious of Cain for having such a magic box. They then hunt monsters in the wild with Cain. During the battle, some monsters flee to the nearby forest. Cain tries to pursue but is stopped by the teachers because there are many powerful monsters in the forest. Hearing this, Cain decides to try hard to become stronger so that he can take adventures in the forest afterward. After a day of training, Cain is raised to level 8. The speed of Cain's leveling up is unexpectedly 100 times faster than the others, and it turns out that one of the gods gave him 100 times more experience points than normal. The next day the teachers take Cain to the Adventurers Guild where they can find a lot of information about monsters. Both teachers are D-rank adventurers and Cain is still young, so he cannot register as an adventurer for the time being and has no rank. At this time several C-rank adventurers harass the two teachers. Although they are adventurers, they are very disgusting. Cain is angry and he immediately stops these shameless adventurers. Despite his young age, Cain is very powerful. The leader of the C-rank adventurers underestimates Cain's strength and in the end he is easily defeated by Cain. But he is unwilling to admit defeat and then tries to attack Cain with a weapon. Angry Cain teaches them a hard lesson and drives them away from the Adventurers Guild. The teachers express their attitude towards Cain and later they find more monsters according to the guild's intelligence with Cain and gain a lot of experience points from the monsters. As time passes by, Cain takes adventurers with the two teachers for 3 years, during which the teachers have also become more powerful than before. Later the two teachers decide to venture somewhere else and say goodbye to Cain. Knowing this, Cain decides to prepare a gift for them before they leave. He knows they have always wanted a magic box, so he tries to make 2 magic boxes for them. He goes into the dangerous woods in search of materials to craft magic boxes and defeats a lot of powerful monsters. During then his battle with the monsters causes a violent explosion which causes the soldiers in the castle to think that the monster is about to invade the castle. So Cain's father leads the army to the forest to hunt down monsters. When they arrive they see only a large hole. Seeing the item left by Cain in the hole, Cain's father finally understands what happened. After that Cain takes out 2 magic bags he made as parting gifts which contain a magic space as large as a castle. Magic bags with space as large as a carriage are already very rare, so the magic bags given by Cain are as valuable as national treasures. The teachers are very grateful to Cain and they don't know how to repay him. Finally they give him 2 kisses. Later Cain says goodbye to his enlightenment teacher and starts a new stage of his life. All the children of nobles need to go to the royal capital for their debut into society when they are 10 years old. On this day Cain and his family decide to leave for the capital. On their way they might encounter danger because there are many monsters nearby. Therefore they are protected by many knights. But in fact Cain does not need anyone's protection at all and he has the ability to defeat any monsters. Halfway through Cain detects a nearby battle where several humans are besieged by a group of monsters, so he decides to offer help immediately. He thinks that riding the carriage is too slow, so he directly uses the wind magic to fly. Meanwhile in the battlefield the monsters have defeated most of the soldiers. The surviving soldiers are guarding a luxurious carriage, but they will soon be defeated as well. Fortunately Cain arrives in time and with his powerful magic he defeats half of the monsters in an instant. The other half of the monsters are fighting the soldiers and Cain may hurt the soldiers if he attacks with magic, so he kills the other monsters with his sword. He then heals all the wounded soldiers with the healing magic. By the time Cain's father and knights arrive the battle is long over. Suddenly the door of the luxurious carriage opens. The royal princess Telestia and the noble girl, Silk, walk out and they express their gratitude to Cain. Cain can tell that they are still frightened, so he uses calming magic to calm them. After that Telestia and Silk fall in love with Cain at the first sight. When they hear that Cain also leaves for the capital they separately hold Cain's 2 arms and take him into the carriage. In the carriage they are unwilling to let go of Cain for 1 second and lean on his shoulders all the time. It takes several days to reach the capital and they need to rest for a night in another city along the way. After arriving in the city Telestia and Silk still don't want to leave Cain, even asking him to sleep with them. Cain feels it difficult to reject them and finally he has no other choice but to stay in one room with them. There are 3 beds in this room and Telestia and Silk put 3 beds together in order to sleep in the same bed as Cain. At night Cain is too nervous to fall asleep at all. The next day he feels very tired, but soon they arrive in the capital. The head of the knights in the capital sees Telestia and Silk holding Cain's hand and feels very strange at first. But when he learns that Cain saved the 2 girls he understands them and respects Cain very much. After that Cain buries the dead soldiers with the knights. Later the head of the knights asks Cain to go directly to meet the king in the palace. It turns out that the king is very curious about Cain when he heard that Cain defeated the terrifying monsters alone and saved Telestia and Silk. When the king sees Cain he is very happy. So he decides to promote Cain to baron and give him a mansion. Among the other nobles present there is one who thinks that Cain is too young to receive such a reward. But the king directly asks him to fight the monsters alone just like Cain and tells him to shut up if he can't do this. After hearing this the noble can only recognize the king's decision. Cain successfully gets promoted to baron. After that the king wants to meet Cain again in private. Later Cain and his father come to the king's reception area and the king and Silk's father also arrive with their daughters. This time the king as a father, thanks Cain again. Immediately afterwards he and Silk's father make a very surprising request, that is they hope that Cain make a marriage contract with Telestia and Silk. It turns out that they learn that Telestia and Silk are close to Cain during their journey, so they want Cain to be responsible for this and marry 2 girls in the future. Cain also loves these 2 beautiful girls. So although he feels very shy, he still agrees to it. After that the gods summon Cain again. They tell him that he is now the strongest human and that if he becomes stronger he will become a demigod. This Cain is very surprised. This time the gods summon Cain because they want to ask him to introduce Japanese entertainments to the world, because in this world people rarely know what entertainment is. Later Cain returns to the real world. When he accompanies his sister to the clothing store he happens to meet a cat girl. The girl is his friend since childhood and her uncle happens to be the president of a chamber of commerce. So Cain offers to visit the chamber of commerce intending to test its strength. After investigation Cain thinks the chamber is not bad. So he tells the president that he wants to make a board game. There are no board games in this world, but after Cain explains the rules to the president thinks that this board game will definitely be popular. What Cain asked the president to make is a reversey board game, which is an interesting board game with simple rules. By spending so much time on this matter, Cain forgets that his sister is still waiting for him in the clothing store. Cain's sister is very angry, but when hearing Cain praising her new clothes for looking good she becomes happy again. The next day the model of the reversey is done. Cain thinks the model is great and they should start mass production right away. He suggests that the president make 2 versions. One is a cheap version that the commoners can also afford and the other is an expensive version for nobles. Cain wants to produce thousands of the reversey, but the Chamber of Commerce doesn't have enough money, so he provides the money to produce it. There is a special custom in this world that when new goods appear they must first offer it to the god of commerce. So Cain and the president start a ritual and sacrifice the model of the reversey to the god of commerce. Cain knows the gods will love the game. After Cain returns home from the Chamber of Commerce, the maid immediately reminds him to go to a ball. Later Cain's parents take him to the ball, which all the nobles in the kingdom will attend, including Telestia and Silk. Cain greets Silk and her father very gentlemanly. Since Cain's soul is a young man, not a child, he behaves maturely. This makes Silk's father feel a little strange. Because Cain is so good at socializing, he looks a bit like a playboy. Cain and his parents are embarrassed by this. Soon after, Cain and his parents go to meet the king, who gives the same assessment that Cain is a bit of a playboy. After listening to it, Cain quickly changes the subject, taking out the reversey as a gift. The king is very happy about this. After this the adults go to socialize, so Cain's parents ask Cain to play with the other children. While Cain is chatting with Silk, a marquis son with 2 ass kissers provokes Cain. They don't know Cain's identity and think he has a low status. In fact, Cain's father is a higher status than their fathers. Then the son of the marquis offers to duel Cain, which Cain doesn't refuse. They come to the grass outside. The marquis son and 2 ass kissers try hard to gather all their mana, but in the end they only cast very weak magic. Fire magic is like a candle flame and they only summon a small stone with the earth magic. Cain can easily defeat them with just a finger. But Cain doesn't really want to fight these kids. So Silk reveals Cain's identity. The story of Cain defeating dozens of monsters alone has long spread throughout the country. When the marquis son and 2 ass kissers learn Cain's identity, they are shocked and immediately kneel down to beg for mercy, hoping that Cain can forgive their rudeness. Cain, of course, won't blame the kids, so he forgives them. Silk can tell that the reason why Cain didn't reveal his identity before is that he wants to tease these kids, so she jokingly says that Cain must date her, otherwise she will tell others. At this time Telestia notices that Cain and Silk are chatting, so she joins them. They agree to go on a date together next time. Coincidentally, when passing by, the king hears their conversation and is now more convinced that Cain is a playboy. But that's the end of the video. If you also like this anime, please like and subscribe. If you want to see the next part of this anime, comment below to tell me. See you next time, bye.